The views expressed on the Making It Matter podcast are that of Gunnar Esiason, Julia Ray, and guests, and not necessarily those of the Boomer Esiason Foundation. Nothing in the Making It Matter podcast should be considered medical advice. Such advice can only be given by a physician who is experienced with cystic fibrosis. The Boomer Esiason Foundation, Gunnar Esiason, Julia Ray, and guests cannot be held responsible for any damage which may result from using the information on this podcast without the permission of your medical doctor. You're listening to the Making It Matter podcast with Gunnar Esiason and Julia Ray, presented by the Boomer Esiason Foundation and GunnarEsiason.com.
Hey there, it's Gunnar Esiason. Thanks for joining Julia and I for episode 13 of the Making It Matter podcast series.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Making It Matter, a weekly podcast highlighting the challenges that people with CF face and the people who face them. Presented by the Boomer Esiason Foundation and GunnarEsiason.com.
Since Julia and I both have cystic fibrosis, we're remaining compliant with the National Cystic Fibrosis Guidelines regarding patient interaction and cross-infection by recording via Skype. This podcast was made possible by Novartis and Vertex Pharmaceuticals. So today we're going to get right into it. Julia, just a few days to the marathon. Yes. I'm sure our listeners are definitely interested in hearing how that journey is going. And since we've been keeping up with you, we know that you're definitely looking forward to this.
Yes, I'm really excited. I'm repping Team Boomer today, getting myself amped for Sunday. But this weekend came with some rather unsettling news for myself and my big brother Will, who we had on last week. Will was going to be running the marathon with me, but dislocated his kneecap on Friday night when he was at jiu-jitsu, which is something he does every single day, and he wasn't expecting this, and I'm devastated for him and selfishly mentally rocked by this news because this will be the first race ever that I do without Will by my side. So I'm trying to come to terms with that before Sunday.
Well, hang in there for yourself. I'm sure you'll do great. But that's terrible news about Will. But knowing he's such a competitor and the competitor that he is, I'm sure he will bounce back from this. Injuries happen. I mean, it's not like that's something that's just so far outside of the realm of control that while it is obviously a terrible thing in the moment, and it's horrible for any sort of athlete or any sort of competitor, I think in a lot of ways it's definitely serves as a lot of motivation for people to get back up on the horse and keep going. And I think, and obviously, we know this with CF, that adversity can strike really at any moment without any sort of warning.
Yeah, I think for him at this point, it was just so hard to mentally accept after preparing for this long, getting to this point and not being able to follow through with it. But he's deferring, and he'll be there next year, and I'm sure he'll be super fast and cross the finish line at a great time. So he'll bounce back, and I know he'll be there with me in spirit. I know it's one of those times though that, this weekend it was super hard for me to wrap my head around the news because I so rely on him to get me through those last miles. He's a trainer by profession. So it's one of those moments where life's disappointments like come and you think like, oh gosh, it just feels like a piling on. Like, not only do I have CF, at sometimes life is that way, but you said it, injuries happen, and it's just something. So we'll make lemonade out of these lemons, hopefully.
As I always like to say, if life were easy, it wouldn't necessarily be worth living. So like, there's definitely a lot to take out of moments like this, especially a big time learning moment. I think for you, for him, for everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm still confident you'll do great, and I'm willing to bet that he will feel just as proud had he run the race as when he knows that you're crossing the finish line. So I'm sure he'll be your biggest fan on marathon day. But what sort of emotions do you have leading up to the marathon?
Gosh, well, now I'm kind of terrified. I really wasn't until I got that news. I'm excited, though. I still have my best friend Cassidy running with me, and she will be by my side, and she knows, she's trained with me. She lives in New York City, so we've been on our runs together, and she knows what it's like to run with CF, and I have exercise-induced asthma, which is just an added layer of fun
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but she will be the driving force really too for me on Sunday. So we're relying a lot on each other. I'm trying not to mentally psych myself out at this point. Just gonna have fun with it. And at this point, that's all you can do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great memory. I've had plenty of friends who've run marathons. As I've said 1,000 times before, I have no intention of ever running a marathon because that's just not my cup of tea. You can find me in your nearest hockey rink. But I will say that I have friends who've done it, and it's definitely one of the few memories that they can all look back on, and they've all said that they've loved it. So I think it'll definitely be a very cool experience for you, especially since you're running with one of your girlfriends. I remember when we were, I think it was a sophomore at BC. It was really one of the first times I ever went and watched a marathon, and seeing my friends sort of run together and do their put all their hard work out on the table. The hours and hours and hours of training that leads up to the marathon is definitely something that is incredibly inspiring and motivational. And it's definitely a very, very cool sight to see. So if you're in the New York City area, make sure you look for our Team Boomer runners, especially Julia. She will be galloping along 2nd Avenue.
Yeah, I'll be so fast you won't be able to see me.
Heading towards the finish line in Central Park. So that'll be a very cool experience for you. And I think it'll be. It should be. Hopefully, it's gonna be a nice day.
It should be.
That's really kind of half the battle. I mean, I've been out there when it's like pouring rain and terrible.
There was rain in the forecast for like 2 days, and I was like, "Oh no!" But no, it's gonna be a beautiful day, and that's the thing that centers me most for Sunday. is the reason I signed up for this is for Team Boomer, and I'm running because I feel like I can, and doing it for those that can't, and I'm just gonna think of that all the way through.
And hopefully listen to your Giants and Eagles football game.
Yes, the game I'll be missing because it'll take me so long to finish.
All that matters is finishing.
Yes. Oh, true. I've resigned to that. I will, as long as I cross that finish line. I don't care what time.
So what are the ways have you prepared? Have you talked to your doctor about it? Is there any other sort of like steps you've taken?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been monitoring how treatments affect my run and like how many treatments to do like prior, and because it's an early morning, and I'm definitely bringing my inhaler for the run because that's something I learned at the half marathon. I didn't bring my inhaler, which was a huge mistake. So trial by error, really. And I'm going to see my doctor tomorrow, so I'm going to really like nail down a big game plan for him with him too. So
yeah, I'm sure that'll be a nice little added boost. An added boost. I like to feel that when I leave the doctor, a lot of the time I definitely feel very hopeful. I like to feel like that I either learned something about myself or I am more comfortable with a few questions that I may have had. So I'm sure that going to the doctor will hopefully give you some peace of mind heading into the weekend.
Totally. I'm looking forward to that. What about you? What have you been up to?
So, actually, tonight we are going to the dedication of the Gunnar H. Cystic Fibrosis Center at the Morristown Medical Center, which is pretty cool. This is the third Gunnar H. Cystic Fibrosis Center. We have one in Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and we also have one at Columbia Presbyterian up by the George Washington Bridge in New York City. I've said for a very long time that I think we have to come up with a better name for these centers. We can't just keep naming them after me. Maybe we can name them after my mom or my dog or something. I think that'd be cool.
Beanie?
Yes, the Beanie Esiason Cystic Fibrosis Center. But I think it'll be a pretty cool thing, and I think that as you know, that going to the CF Center and making sure the CF Center has all the resources that are needed for properly caring for patients and giving patients the biggest possible opportunity to succeed with cystic fibrosis is an incredibly important part of the disease care.
Of course. And I think having your name associated with it is important because I think young patients and families alike know that you're such a steadfast and passionate advocate and you're living life. So it's like added inspiration when you go to clinic.
Yeah, I love when I go to clinic at Columbia and I'm like, I check in. And,
You're your own inspiration.
Name, please. It's Gunnar. Can you spell that? It's right there. Yeah, no, it's definitely a little bit of a unique little situation. I honestly, recently I feel like my second home has been that clinic at Columbia. I've had like a little bug going on for the past like 2 months or so, and like I just feel like I live there now. But it's nice to see my name on the wall, I guess, and remind myself that, oh yes, there I am. But no, it's definitely a pretty cool thing. Definitely looking forward to checking out the CF clinic over at Morristown. It's one of those weird things. Like you never really get to go to another CF clinic. Like there's
Right.
When I was at school at Boston College, my doctor had a contact there, and so I used Boston Children's as my like emergency center in case something ever went wrong, or
Right.
I guess in my case, a few things did go wrong a few times. And it was just like a cool experience to see how things are done differently in CF centers in different parts of the country. Like the one thing that I noticed was that like at the CF center at Columbia, like, there's a PFT room where you do your PFT, your pulmonary function test to see how you're doing. But at Boston Children's, like they wheeled the PFT machine to you. It was like and they basically it kept like all the CF patients, like there was no waiting room essentially. It was big enough so that if there was ever a CF patient, or if there were more than one CF patient, if there was, I guess, multiple CF patients in the clinic at the same time, everyone could like be in their own room away from each other.
Wow. Yeah, that is cool. I remember feeling that way when I was in LA. I had Mattel Children's and got sick quite a bit when I was living in Los Angeles, and it was interesting to see a different. I feel like I've like tasted many different flavors of CF clinics.
Well, what a way of putting things.
Got it.
I've tasted many different flavors of CF clinics. No, no, it's definitely an interesting thing, like how. I guess because when you go to your clinic, you're so set in your routine, and like the way it goes, you do your PFT, then you like see the doctor, then you see the social worker, then you see the dietitian, you see like all these people come like in like the same order every single time. Like, nothing ever changes. And then for me, when I was doing clinical trials over the past years, you go to a different part of the clinic, and then you do your clinical trial things and stuff like that. So I think there's like so many different experiences when you go to the doctor's office, but I think it's also important to recognize that, especially if you're connected with the CF community, like you and I both are, it's important to recognize that people do it differently in different parts of the country.
Right. Yeah. Different things to work for different people. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's obviously that's the case with every single thing you could ever say in the history of the world.
Especially CF.
but yeah, no, definitely the contrast in the way that things are handled in different centers is definitely a cool thing to recognize. Which is, I think in a lot of ways it probably makes those people feel like they're at home, or a sort of a level of comfort when they're at these new centers. Because I look back, I'm sure you had a similar experience when you first moved out to LA, but when I first started going to Boston Children's, it was new to me. It was the first
and scary.
Exactly. I was in a new city, without my parents, and I went down to Boston Children's, and I was like, "What the hell am I? What am I doing here?" And it took one or two visits to finally, find a comfort level. My strategy, I think, was if I can remember correctly, I think I went. Like the first week I was back in Boston for the beginning of every semester, just to get like a baseline PFT or whatever, like a baseline checkup from the doctor, just so that they could like, if there ever was a problem, then like they had something on file.
Yeah.
So by the time I graduated from BC, I was definitely, I wouldn't say a frequent flyer, but I was definitely there enough to fall in the routine and to know some, get familiar with some of the faces around there. Because at the end of the day, like if there is an issue or if there is a problem, the CF clinic in a lot of ways is your lifeline to getting better.
Right, and it's important to find that lifeline as close to your new home as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Or in my case, I'd hardly call Boston College my home. Maybe it's where my heart is at home. But but that in my case, it was definitely
temporary home.
Yes, where I was going to college. So that's definitely a major piece of advice that I like to give to a lot of people when a lot of people with CF or a lot of families that are sending someone with CF off to college, ask your doctor or your son or daughter's doctor if they have a connection in that city. And more often than not, I find that there is a connection because the CF medical community is so small because there's so few patients, there's so few medical centers that are equipped to treat CF effectively. That more often than not, if you're going to school in a big city, there's probably a connection somewhere along the line, and it's important for your doctor at home and your doctor in the new city to be in communication and sort of be able to work through problems in a way that can help you get through college.
Yeah, and I think your baseline PFT, like at least establishing that so that there's that touchstone there already, no matter how you're feeling at the moment, so that when something does come up, which with CF it inevitably does,
especially being a semester in college. I felt like every time I came home for the summer, I was like, I had a great summer and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden you go back to college, and then like it's almost like you're living two different lifestyles. Like over the summer, you're doing either, in my case, I was actually doing a lot of summer school at home, but you're doing a thing like where you're not necessarily interacting with thousands of people every single day, and then all of a sudden you're forced to go to college. Not necessarily forced, but you're going to college and you're forced to then live with thousands of new people your age. And as we all know, college is just like a disgusting, gross environment. Like the sanitary situation of college students is definitely. If there's something that like this election should be concerned with, it's the sanitary situation of college students and the people.
That's what we've been missing.
Yes, exactly. And the situations in which these people live. I mean, it's like it was just gross. I mean, like the moment like one person gets the stomach flu, half the student body gets the stomach flu. It's like like that thing just it's like going on a cruise. Like when people go on cruise, I know it's a little bit of an anecdote here, but like when people go on cruises, it's the grossest thing ever. First of all, I can't get over the fact that the boat might sink.
Yeah, I get claustrophobic.
And then you're out there like you're out there like the Titanic. You're like, oh my God, it's horrible. But beyond that, like I feel like every time it's almost like every week over the summer you hear like, oh, this cruise line's got the stomach flu going on it. They're racing back to port to sterilize the ship. It's a very common news headline over the summer. Like, why would anyone ever want to go on a cruise? I understand it's like affordable and all-inclusive and stuff like that. But like there's a risk of the boat sinking and there's a risk of everyone getting totally sick. Like that sounds no fun to me. That sounds absolutely horrible. Have you ever been on a cruise?
No, never.
I went on the Disney cruise when I was a child.
Yeah, something about cruises just does not appeal to me. A lot of things actually. Just the idea of being stuck on a boat with all those people. I just don't do well with that. And also I feel like I would get seasick. I don't know. There's just so many things about it that I'm not about.
Yeah. No, I
think I'd rather just go stay like on a beach.
On the land?
Yes.
On the land somewhere?
Where my feet are firmly planted.
Where you don't have to swim away from danger. No, you watch the Titanic and you see Leo hanging on the door with Rose in the very end. Like I envision that being me, like hanging in the freezing cold water and on the door, and it's like, is it me or Rose? Is it Leo?
We all now know Gunnar's favorite movie.
Titanic. I've seen Titanic like 100 times. I hate admitting that. It's kind of a boring movie. Like the movie just goes on for.
Yeah, I've only seen it once. It was when I was hospitalized, and my child life specialist brought it to me because I'd never seen it.
It's actually a great movie to watch from your hospital because it's so long. Yeah, no, that
perfect hospitalization movie.
That movie, like the boat just never sinks. It's just like you're just waiting for it to sink, and then finally it does.
Yeah. That and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, those are good gifts for anyone that's in the hospital, people.
I love Lord of the Rings. I will subject myself to Lord of the Rings. Not Harry Potter. I don't like Harry Potter, but Lord of the Rings is cool. That's like. I know you're. I can feel you judging me right now, but I love.
There are long movie binge watching for everyone in the hospital.
Lord of the Rings is a great movie. They're all great movies. There's 3 of them. They're all. I mean, I guess by the time the third one rolls around, you're like, okay, now we made it this far. We just have to finish it.
The only thing that I remember about Lord of the Rings is actually I made a scrapbook with one of my friends in 6th grade for Orlando Bloom. We literally made an Orlando Bloom scrapbook. Like we were so obsessed with Orlando Bloom. So I
Lord of the Rings.
guess I can't judge you.
The binge movie watching thing is definitely a go-to when I'm sick. Last year, right before the new Star Wars movie came out, I'm just sharing how cool I am right now. Last year, when the new Star Wars movie came out, I think I was on IV maybe a month or two. So like last October, November, maybe I was on IV, and I was just sitting there. So I came up with this great idea. I was like, I'm going to watch all 6 of the Star Wars movies again because I love Star Wars. I'm going to watch all 6 of them just so I'm prepared for Star Wars 7 when it comes out in December. And I'm happy I did it because when Star Wars 7 rolled out,
You felt prepared?
Yes. Not only did I feel prepared, but I felt like I was a part of the Star Wars experience. Because, I'll tell you why. My friends and I, we all dressed up in the Star Wars costume characters. And we went. I was subject to my girlfriend to that at the time, too. I made her dress up as Darth Vader. It was hilarious. She'll never let me live it down. And I'll never let her live it down that she dressed up as Darth Vader to go to a movie.
Wow.
But we went and saw Star Wars in costume. And I felt like I was a part of the experience, due in part to my CF, because it gave me the opportunity to watch all 6 Star Wars movies leading up to Star Wars Episode 7.
Wow.
And
You deserve a gold star for that.
And there you have it. That's what Gunnar does with his free time. So yeah, that's I forgot what
I was about to do this, but that's Star Trek. Isn't it?
Yes, that is Star Trek. I forgot where we were before this anecdote took off. It was something about
hospitals, CF clinics.
Yes, exactly.
So anyway, yeah, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Titanic.
Yeah, we've covered the things.
Do.
Yes, we've covered things to do when you're sick, and I guess now we've circled back to that. But for those of you who are out there, just know that I am terrified of cruises, and you will never find me on one, because a cruise is a lot like a college situation where when the stomach flu goes around, everyone gets it, and it's a miserable experience for everyone. So that's
and now we're going to circle back to the marathon.
Okay.
Which
awesome
reminds
segue.
me an awful lot about cystic fibrosis. Running a marathon, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's how you have to live life with CF too. But I do want to give. Hey, it's so true. Marathon is a metaphor for life. But I do want.
Did you come up with that one all by yourself?
All by myself. You've never heard that before? Mm-hmm. So I do want to give a shout out to Emily Shaler, who is running the New York Marathon as well, who I'm sure will beat me to the finish line because she is a rock star, literally. She has her own foundation, Roxy F, and does a remarkable job with that. And she is our Making It Matter for this week. So best of luck to you, Emily, with the New York City Marathon. I will, if I see you out there, obviously I'll wave and see you when you've already cooled down at the finish line.
Really giving yourself a good pump up before this marathon. You're setting expectations realized. Yeah, okay.
Yes. I'm setting expectations very low for all of you out there so that, if I surprise all of us, myself included, it's a very exciting thing.
Well, Emily's awesome. She does Bike to Breathe with Jerry Cahill, obviously. So good luck to her. Good luck to you. Good luck to all of our Team Boomer runners this weekend. Marathon's awesome. Like I said, if you're in New York City, you're going to know the marathon's going on regardless because traffic is miserable on Sunday.
Yes.
So instead of trying to drive,
you won't be able to get anywhere.
Instead of trying to drive somewhere, why not go watch the marathon? And especially keep an eye for our Team Boomer runners. We'll obviously put Julia's fundraising page again in the blog notes here or the podcast notes, whatever those are called. But that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in for the 13th episode of Making It Matter and listening to why I love the movie Titanic. Remember when Leo did a very heroic thing by letting Rose stay on the door in the end. I'm sorry if I gave the movie away by saying that, but it's a really great movie. But remember, you can follow along with our weekly podcast via my YouTube channel, Julia's YouTube channel, I think, GunnarEsiason.com, JuliaRay.com. And then now, which is going to be a new little situation here, if you haven't already subscribed to us on iTunes, you should go ahead and do that because you'll get early access to the episodes for subscribing to our podcast on iTunes. And definitely go do that. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a good rating, because maybe one day we'll climb to the top of the charts on iTunes and be like Taylor Swift.
Totally.
That's our goal here.
And you can follow us on Instagram. We've hit 100 followers. Did you know that, Gunnar?
I did.
We've
I follow that. I check in on the Instagram daily, because I know how much that means to you.
Get at it at makingitmatter_CF, and maybe we'll come up with a giveaway when we get to 500 followers. So
we'll have to find room in the budget for that.
Yeah, we'll find something.
You'll get a signed autographed picture of Julia.
There you go. Rare.
Running a marathon. But if you want to see us podcast about something specific, you can always send either of us an email. Julia's awesome blog, Julia's awesome email, which is juliaray@juliaray.com, or Gunnar's blog at Esiason.org, or send us a message on Facebook. We both have what are those called? Like pages, fan pages, like little. Mm-hmm. I feel weird saying fan
public
pages.
Page.
Yes, exactly. So send us a message there. Give us a topic you want us to hear us podcast about. We've gotten actually a lot of really great messages over the past couple of weeks here. So
we love hearing from you.
Yes, and it's fun to interact with people other than each other.
Yeah, I'm sick of him, so
evidently. But yeah, definitely do that. And that's all I have for today.
Yeah, thanks so much for listening, and let us know what you want to hear next. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good week, everyone.